UFC 298 has ended, but a question still remains: what's next for the shining stars of the event? The only obvious next fight is for Merab Dvalishvili, who at last got his already deserved title shot when he outclassed the former champ Triple C, extending his win streak to 10 and moving up in the rankings to number 1. Dana White confirmed his title shot at the post-fight press conference and even offered him to be the backup for the UFC 299 main event, which Dvalishvili has accepted yesterday on MMAR. Current champ Sean O'Malley, also in MMAR, did not try to duck Dvalishvili anymore and accepted what was inevitable. As it is obvious that Merab faces the winner of Sean O'Malley vs Marlon Vera, let's try to find out the answer to what's next for other UFC 298 fighters. I'm the Indian accent guy and you are on Fightbook. Ilia Topuria has gained so much popularity after taking the belt home to Spain. As he holds the belt and also the star power, he holds the right to choose his next opponent as well. Although he called out Conor McGregor, we all know it is unlikely to happen at this time, and Topuria knows it as well. To choose an opponent for his first title defense, he had 3 options: Alex Volkanovski, Movsar Evloev, and the winner of this weekend's rematch between Yair Rodriguez and Brian Ortega. At the post-fight press conference of UFC 298, Topuria declined Evloev for being a decision machine. He said that Evloev needs to finish at least one fight to get a title shot. He also declined the winner of Rodriguez vs Ortega, as both have missed out on a title shot and are on the losing end. Ilia says the winner of this fight should face Evloev and he would fight the winner of that match. Right now, he showed respect to the former champ Alexander Volkanovski and accepted his call out for a rematch in Spain. His next opponent is very much in flux, but if we look at the rematch, it is a deserving fight for Alexander Volkanovski. Volkanovski was on a perfect streak in his division, including 6 title fights. If the UFC does intend to showcase its new undefeated champion in Spain, it would be a perfect opportunity for Volkanovski to get his status back. Robert Whittaker remains a fixture near the top of the middleweight division, but is currently outside of the title picture, having fallen to Israel Adesanya twice and then stopped by new champ Dricus du Plessis last summer. Bobby Knuckles got it done in a fight that was absolutely vital to decide the course of his career. Now, when he's back in the win column, Sean Strickland is his most likely rival, as fans are showing a great interest in this fight. Although Strickland deserves a title shot after losing to du Plessis by a controversial split decision, there is another guy named Israel Adesanya who may not deserve the title shot as much as Strickland does, but he may get it, as UFC politics is at its peak nowadays. They gave Bilal's shot to Covington and Dvalishvili's to Marlon Vera, so it is unlikely for Sean Strickland to get an immediate rematch in this scenario. This number 1 contender fight between the nicest middleweight and the baddest middleweight will be a treat for fight fans. Paulo Costa fought well at UFC 298 but could not do enough to get the nod. He has now moved down to number 7 in the rankings and have 3 sensible options in front of him. Number 8 Imavov, number 9 Hermansson and number 11 Chimaev. Personally, I and maybe all of the MMA community wants to see the grudge match between Khamzat Chimaev and Paulo Costa because of their history. As we all know, Khamzat Chimaev has Dana White's privilege as well, so beating a badass fighter in Paulo Costa would be enough for him to get the middleweight title shot. The Irish welterweight maintained his unblemished record with a good but controversial performance against Geoff Neal. Machado Garry said going into the bout that he wanted Colby Covington next and declared as much again in his post-fight interviews. Garry remains undefeated, so he has made exactly the right call out. That feels like a perfectly cromulent match to make. Colby Covington, who is now 2-3 in his last 5 bouts, have lost 3 opportunities to get the title. He is now ranked at number 5 and knows he's not gonna get an easy title shot again. This time, he has to earn it. During the UFC 298 fight week, Colby was asked about this fight, where he claimed that he will definitely fight Garry, as he still wants to get the belt and would fight anyone to get one more chance to win the title. Both are now next to each other in the UFC welterweight rankings, so Garry vs Covington is the fight to make next. Headliner of UFC Dublin are the co-main event of any PPV anywhere in the world. Despite losing back-to-back fights and being 2-4 in his last 6 fights, Geoff Neal still remains in the top 10. He is now somewhat irrelevant until he gets back in the win column by beating a fan-favorite dude. Taking the winner of Holland vs MVP would be a good step for him, as both of them have great reputation among MMA fans. Anthony Hernandez's pressure game is something to behold. After defending his rankings and extending his win streak to 5, it's time for a step up. Dolidze would be a good move. Dolidze is on a 2-fight losing streak, ranked at number 10. Dolidze is in a position to defend his spot against an up-and-comer, while Hernandez has proved that he deserves a chance to crack top 10. Amanda Lemos was booked against number 2 ranked strawweight Tatiana Suarez, who had pulled out and was replaced with Mackenzie Dern. Lemos did what she needed to do to go towards the title once again. Currently, there is only one strawweight who is in the title contention, and that is Tatiana Suarez. But the UFC has clearly assessed that Suarez needed at least one more, so Lemos is still the obvious choice. This match should definitely be rebooked because this time its stakes are even higher than before. A few other potential fights I would like to see for UFC 298 fighters are Marcos Rogerio de Lima vs Alexander Romanov, Mackenzie Dern vs Karolina Kowalkiewicz, Miranda Maverick vs Viviane Araujo, and Henry Cejudo vs Umar Nurmagomedov. I know that Cejudo is most likely to retire after this loss, but he still hasn't talked about this yet. After this loss, Henry has nothing to lose, so he should do his organization and his manager a massive favor. Nobody wants to fight Umar Nurmagomedov. This ranked UFC contender is fighting a debuting talent in his upcoming fight, meaning that not only was he refused by the available ranked contenders, but also by every UFC rostered fighter who the promotion could have possibly put in a position to challenge for Umar's ranking. There is no way that the UFC voluntarily offers that opportunity to an unknown 8-0 kid unless they are absolutely at the end of their rope. But if Umar can get through this next challenge, a Cejudo fight would be an incredible gift. With a UFC show anticipated for Saudi Arabia in June, Umar's team is highly incentivized to get Umar on that card. Meanwhile, the UFC desperately needs someone to step up and be willing to fight Umar. Henry will get his chance to retire properly, may get paid well for taking this fight, and he might even win and rejuvenate his competitive aspirations. Maybe I'm living in a fool's paradise. Forget it. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section. I'll reply to you and then see you in the next video. So till then, do whatever you want.